Hi, welcome to Truth Wanted. I am your host, ObjectivelyDan, and joining me today is the Godless Iowan.
Hello.
Hi. Welcome back to another episode of our show. In case you're joining us for the first time, this is a test show for an upcoming show for the atheist community of Austin called Truth Wanted, hosted by me, ObjectivelyDan, where we talk about people's beliefs. We talk about what people believe and why they believe them. Every week we try to feature new guest hosts on with me, and we also try to feature calls from the community where people can call in asking about our beliefs, or they can call in talking to us about their beliefs, and we get to ask them questions. So it's a really fun time for everybody involved. We're open to just casual conversation about what people believe, and we want to make people feel welcomed while they're here. So we're open to all ideas, whether you believe there's a God, there's no God, whether you believe there's a Bigfoot or fairies or the world is flat or, whatever kinds of things you got going on, we want to talk about it. But first, we're going to talk to our guests, Godless Iowan. And while we're doing that, if you'd like to call into our show, the number there is at the bottom. That's 512-686-0279. And so we have call screeners here that will take your calls, and then we can get the show started from there. But let's talk about our guest today, Godless Iowan. What is up, my dude?
Not much. Just excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So you are a YouTube content creator, and you make videos about all kinds of stuff. I mean, what kind of stuff do you make?
I have videos about Christianity, Islam, some stuff about people like Jordan Peterson. I also have a series where I'm detailing my journey from former Pentecostal fundamentalist minister to atheist.
Yeah, and that's a really, really interesting story that I'd like to just talk about just briefly, if you don't mind. You
Sure.
are an atheist now, but you weren't always an atheist. You kind of actually were in the ministry, like went to school and served for a while, correct?
Actually, I was with a very fundamentalist Pentecostal church that did not believe in college-taught ministers. I had my license. I took a test to get it on basic theology and Pentecostal dogma. But yeah, I had my license and preached for about 10 years.
Yeah, that's wild. So, and you were, I mean, obviously you probably grew up in the Pentecostal church before that, I imagine.
Yep.
I mean, you pretty much believed your whole life. How old were you when you kind of started to change your mind?
Unfortunately, I guess I say unfortunately, but I was in my late 20s when I started to doubt. I'm in my mid 30s now, so it's been about 5 years.
And so the conclusion you kind of came to was, did you say that there is no God, or you're just not sure, or what is your kind of take on that?
I believe that naturalism gives much better answers to any of the questions that we might have about the universe and life in general. And so I say that I don't believe in God. And I believe there are no gods.
Okay. Now, obviously, there's probably a myriad of reasons why you come to that conclusion now. And that's more than what one show could ever cover. But like, what are some of the bigger ones that you were kind of thinking about that kind of caused you to come to the conclusion that you hold now?
Basically just that the universe itself does not have a need or necessity for a creator being, or God, if you want to call it that. We have answers to basically how the expansion of the universe occurred, how molecules and all that came together, how the planets were formed, stars were formed, that do not require a God. And so with that as the basis, it seems silly that you would then have a God kind of just overseeing it. Doesn't seem needed.
So a supernatural explanation for events has kind of been superseded by a natural one, is kind of what
Exactly.
Yeah.
Throughout the years, our gaps continue to get smaller and smaller that God fits into. even for theists out there. And so, one day maybe we'll reach a point where there are no gaps. I doubt that we're going to have I doubt that there'll be a time where there's no longer believers. But the gaps are just going to be tiny. They already are.
So what do you think would change your mind on this belief?
Well, I always like to say that I'm not sure what would change my mind. Verifiable evidence of a God would change it. And that evidence, if there were a God, he knows or she knows what that evidence would be, and they could provide it.
But you're not sure yourself about what that would look like specifically.
If we found a planet that had "God was here" written on it, that might be nice.
Okay.
But basically, if any shred of verifiable evidence for a creator being, I don't think atheism would become a silly position to hold.
Okay, but you are saying, though, that if NASA scientists tomorrow in a press conference said, yeah, we looked at the surface of Mars and it says God was here on it, that would kind of lower your confidence a little bit.
That would, yeah. If we found that, it would be much harder to say, okay, natural causes formed the letters God was here.
Okay. So it sounds like you at least have some semblance of an idea, maybe, a little bit. Like you can come up with a few examples. Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Neat. Well, cool. Thanks again for coming on the show today. And so basically, Godless Iowan is going to be joining me in answering some of your guys' phone calls. So you're free to ask questions to us about what we believe, or if you'd like, if you have a belief that you want us to talk about with you, we'd love to have that kind of conversation with you.